This at the
and abortion TV is going to surpass EWTN. No.
We did this at the coalition thing in Titusville last month or the month before. Yeah. What's it really named?
Yeah. No, well, you're making it into a fine art form.
A fine art form.
No, I like your hand.
No, the guests. Well, I'll tell you what. Yeah, tell Rob you give us the signal when to begin. We're broadcasting this on about.
Will they show up in it? They're so far out.
They're too far away.
He's we're good. We're all gonna come up here one at a time. Brothers and sisters, Father Frank Pavone here, National Director of Priests for Life. I'm privileged to be here today in Washington, D.C. with so many of my colleagues in the national leadership of the pro-life movement, various organizations with which you would be familiar. And we're standing here today to express strong support for the bill that has been debated in Congress and is being introduced in Congress called the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act. In the House of Representatives, it is H.R. 962. And the reason we're talking about this today is that the Republicans in the House of Representatives have taken a measure today to get a vote on this bill. This bill would protect babies who are born alive after a failed abortion. In other words, it is a bill to prevent infanticide. It does not limit the circumstances under which abortion itself can be permitted, but it does say that if a baby survives an abortion, that baby, whom the law already recognizes as a person, must be protected. And if that baby is killed, either by omission or by a deliberate action, then there are penalties that go with it. The law says, give the baby the same degree of care that any baby born at the same age for any other reason would receive. Our nation is and must be opposed to infanticide. And these leaders stand together today in support of our pro-life legislators who are taking steps to make sure that this issue is not ignored. For the 25th time yesterday, Republicans in the House of Representatives called for a vote on this particular bill. And for the 25th time in a row in this session, that vote was denied by the Democratic leadership in the House. And therefore, that has led to the action today of introducing what's called a discharge petition. Today, members will sign on to that petition in the Congress to say, let's have a vote. And then, for the rest of this Congress, for the next year and a half, the rest of the members of the House of Representatives have a chance to get it right. They have a chance to sign on to this petition so that a matter as fundamental as to whether a baby who's already born alive will be protected can at least receive a vote. in the United States House of Representatives. We want to express our strong support for this. We want to make it clear that all of us have a voice, and we want to urge you to communicate with your representative in Congress to say yes, not only vote on this bill, but pass this bill, the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act. I want to invite my colleagues likewise to introduce themselves and their organization and to likewise express their support here today.
I'm Tom Glessner, President of the National Institute of Family and Life Advocates. We want to just proclaim our support for this bill and urge those congressional leaders who are sitting on the fence, who do not want to be identified with the one position or the other on abortion. This is one position you've got to take a stand on. You've got to join us. We need 18 Democrats to cross over and sign this discharge position in order to bring this to a vote. I challenge those Democrats to speak and do the right thing here and sign the discharge position. Let's get a vote on this bill.
Hi, my name is Tina Whittington. I'm the Executive Vice President at Students for Life of America, and I'm just here to say infanticide is not a partisan issue. It is an issue that we can all come together on. Together, we must resist infanticide and protect the dignity of the human person from the moment of conception until birth and even after they're born in a circumstance of an abortion. And so I just encourage you guys all to reach out to your representatives, speak out against infanticide and for this discharge petition.
My name is Chris Slattery. I'm from Expectant Mother Care Pregnancy Centers in New York City. In our state, just recently legalized abortion till birth, and possibly we're looking at the future that we will see babies that are born alive in the third trimester, in the late weeks of pregnancy, getting no protection in New York State for neonatal emergency care. I am seeing in our pregnancy centers calls every week, 3, 4, 5 calls of women who are over 24 weeks pregnant, up to 32 weeks. We've seen women. And these are risky, dangerous procedures. And if performed, the chances are higher than early in the pregnancy that the babies will be born alive. Thankfully, 9 Democrats in New York State actually voted against the abortion expansion till birth bills. And we implore on the federal level more Democrats to join the Republicans in voting for protection for abortion survivors. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Georgette Forney, President of Anglicans for Life, and I want to make one thing really clear about this bill. This bill does not actually address abortion. This bill simply addresses the baby if it survives the abortion and requires health care to be provided. Now, the idea is that health care should be available for everyone in the United States. We talk about that. The Affordable Health Care Act was passed for that purpose. All this bill does is require the abortion doctor to provide health care to a baby born after an abortion procedure has failed. So please encourage your legislators to understand the truth behind the bill, to get the facts about this. There are numerous people, adults, that are walking around now that have survived abortions and have children, are productive human beings, and believe their lives matter as well, and that they should never have had care denied to them. And fortunately, they didn't. So we want to help make sure that any child that is born during an abortion procedure gets health care, which is something we are all entitled to. So please help your legislators understand this bill instead of just hiding behind the fact that it's about abortion. It's not about abortion. It's about protecting life. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Brad Mattis, President of Life Issues Institute, and we're here to show our support for this important legislation. To those Democrats who are blocking this bill, where is your humanity? Why have you taken a stand to sentence to die, to impose the death penalty on babies who survive a late-term abortion? Their right to life is paramount. They need the health care to live, and it is an act of indecency to turn your backs on these children who are the most vulnerable citizens of America, newborn infants, and all they're requesting is basic health care. Please support the bill.
I'm Evangelist Alveda King, the Executive Director of Civil Rights for the Unborn with PriestForLife.org. I am urging everyone within the sound of our voices and those of you that are able to see us and hear this message to immediately contact your members of Congress and urge them to allow the vote on this bill that will protect the lives of little babies who have been born during the process of abortion. Abortion is a civil wrong. The little babies in the womb, the babies newborn immediately, and all people should have civil rights, life being a main right of humanity. We're one blood, one race, human beings in the womb and outside the womb. Please urge Congress to allow a vote on this very important bill, and when the vote takes place, to vote for the sanctity of life and the civil rights of every human being in the womb and outside. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Brian Kemper. I'm president of Stand True Pro-Life Outreach. For years, I have heard Democrats and abortion rights activists, pro-abortion people, tell me how pro-lifers do not care about babies once they're born. You only care about fetuses, is what they always try to tell me. You don't care about babies once they're born. Here we go. We are now talking about a bill saving the lives of babies that have been born alive. So if you're going to sit there and accuse us of saying we don't care about babies once they're born, here we are right now trying to save babies that are being born alive. You need to vote for this bill. You need to protect these babies that are born, that are alive. You cannot throw that argument out anymore if you do not support this bill.
My name is Sheila Harper, and I am with the abortion recovery ministry called Save One. We're a global organization helping those who have suffered an abortion. And I implore you, we stand 100% with this bill, and I implore you to vote for this bill. We're not talking about partisan politics. We're not talking about restricting abortion. This is a human being, and we must stop what is going on here. We cannot stand for infanticide. And so we absolutely stand with this, and we will stand with this bill, and we will fight it every tooth and nail. Thank you.
Christopher Bell, Good Counsel Homes. At Good Counsel Homes, we care for women who are in crisis pregnancies, not only before and during birth, but after birth. And so many of our mothers have had an abortion. That's why they're with us now. They don't want to do that again. And for the mother who's had a miscarriage at our home, she's grieving, and we help her through that as well. This bill is about the baby who is born. The mother doesn't want the baby. There are couples, there are families throughout the United States who lovingly will adopt that child. It's never a question. Every baby that a mother thinks she has to abort, she can place for an adoption because there are loving arms waiting for that mother. I'm in New York and New Jersey. We help women nationally with networking with maternity homes throughout the country. But even if you're in those states where your legislators specifically do not support life on any other means, it's worth it for them to hear from you today on this bill so that they know there are people who care. And whether you call yourself pro-life or not, you care, give that phone call, and let us change our culture so that every life will be loved and protected.
Hello, I'm with Woom International. We're a world organization dedicated to presenting the Billings ovulation method of natural fertility regulation to women throughout all the world. I understand, right from Iowa, that the Democratic vote, you tend to vote with your leaders, that you vote as a bloc, you do it really well. You follow the words of your whip and your leaders, but I would encourage each Democrat in the House today to consider what this bill actually means and to decide to follow your own conscience and to vote on the side of the life of these babies who, though they may have been attemptedly aborted, are now living individual human persons. And I would encourage you to look at them as constitutional citizens of the United States, and that they have a right to their life as you do yours. So we would like to ask you to consider that for yourselves, and to know that life will prevail. Thank you.
Hi friends, Joe Lankfeld, Executive Director at Human Life Alliance. So many of you have read our comprehensive pro-life materials, which teach about the child in the womb, which teach about the dignity of all human life. Now more than ever, we need your voice heard here in Washington, D.C. We need you to reach out to members of Congress, your own representatives, and even if you think they're not with us, even if you think they're a Democrat who's not open to life, we need you to call them immediately and urge their support of this important bill. We're so thankful for Representative Steve Scalise for his leadership. I'm from Minnesota. I'm so thankful to have one of 3 Democrats who has actually signed on to this legislation. This is not a partisan issue. This is an issue about how we treat the most defenseless and the vulnerable among us. So if you recall our history, I ask you to think about great words said before. I ask you to think about our founding documents. I ask you to think about a name that you know but perhaps don't even know what his importance in history is, John Hancock. But during the Revolutionary War, John Hancock urged us all to pray, but to do more than pray, but also act. So I ask you today to also act and contact your members of Congress immediately. Thank you.
My name is Zena Hackworth. I'm with More Rebellious Members as a pro-life outreach to black pastors. But my appeal is to the Congressional Black Caucus. We're not asking you to stand for or against any pro-life legislation right now. We are asking you to stand in favor of children who have been born, our beautiful children who are born alive. We're asking you as a group, the Congressional Black Caucus. We know that you champion yourselves as being for the black community. So please be for our children who have been born. So we thank you for at least considering protecting the lives of our children who have been born already. And I thank you.
I'm Joni Shepherd with Hope and Grace International. We want to equip people to be empowered by truth, healed by grace, and champions for life, all having to do with abortion. And this bill is so important. It's not just about the babies that are going to be left to die, the inhumanity of that. It is about the devaluing of all of our lives. Millennials are the first generation to be completely optional. What are we telling our children and our grandchildren and the generations to come? That they are optional because they're not wanted? No child is unwanted. No baby is unwanted. There are people out there who want to love them. And I just implore you to contact your legislators and tell them to support this bill that protects not only the lives of these babies, but your life too, eventually. Thank you.
And so, brothers and sisters, you have heard from so many of the leaders in the national pro-life movement today. We will continue communicating with you in the weeks and months to come. But today, an important step is being taken to end infanticide in our nation. And again, we're grateful to Representative Ann Wagner for introducing this bill, for Representative Steve Scalise for leading the effort today on this discharge petition. And stay tuned to these channels for more updates. Please be sure to communicate with your congressional representative today and ask them to support the discharge petition for H.R. 962, the Born Alive Abortion Survivors Protection Act. We will speak to you again soon, friends. On behalf of all the pro-life leaders here, thank you for your efforts. This is Father Frank Pavone of Priests for Life.
But you know what? When you and I take up this call and we talk about abortion,
If we speak about it in church, we're told we're too political. If we speak about it in the political arena, we're told we're too religious. If we speak about it in the world of the media, it's too disturbing. In the world of business, it's too distracting. In the world of education, it's too controversial. In the streets, it's too disruptive. So abortion, if abortion is wrong, where do we go to say so? We go into the churches, we go into politics, into the media, into business, into education, and into the streets. Some churches haven't wanted to get involved in political